And how's it going, Hornets fans? Welcome back to another edition of Inside the Nest. We are here previewing the Hornets Round 2 playoff game against Clarke Central and the Gladiators at that. Pardon for the lack of episodes here recently. Been invested in schoolwork and everything, so apologies for the lack of stuff about Chambly and going forth. But we got it under control now. We're good. We're in the stretch run. We're in the playoffs now, baby. Boy, Hornets came off beating Chambly pretty well, 51-6. Honestly, not the cleanest games for the Hornets. Now, going in the game, kind of talked about that, hey, they weren't kind of up for the game, but they still take care of business. And you can get away with those things when it's against a Chambly and you far out talent them in a sense. No disrespect to Chambly at all. They're a great team. Love Brock Ryan over there, as well as the stuff that Ed Reed, actual Ed Reed, the Ravens safety, is doing over there along with his son at OC. Now, means that the Hornets go on and face Clarke Central at the Nest. The Hornets do not have to travel to Athens for this game. That's where Clarke Central is located, by the way. So, there we go. Just kind of set up the Hornets. Again, coming off, Hornets have now won 7 in a row. Since losing to Buford, they're on a win streak tear at the moment. Coach Thompson's got these boys going ham right now against pretty much everyone who they play. And it's showing a lot, really, the discipline and the ability to fix mistakes mid-game and really correct things when things aren't really going their way. And that was basically the epicenter of Milton and Gainesville. But I digress. Enough about all that. Let's get into Clarke Central, because that is the game that is tomorrow night, or I guess tonight, if you will, based off the time of this recording. So, we have the Clarke Central Gladiators. They are winners of their last 4 since losing to Habersham Central. They've done it in pretty dominant fashion outside of the win last week against Effingham County. Now, Effingham County, it was an upset, but Effingham County from what I could gather, the majority of their schedule or teams that they are way more favored in or favored over. And when they did lose, they lost to teams that were significantly better than them. So it's kind of just like, we don't really know what this team is. Can they really scale up? Can they not? But we're not here to talk about Effingham County. We're here to talk about Clarke Central and the Gladiators at them, because that's who the Hornets are playing Friday night at the lights at Ray Manor Stadium. So, like I said, winners of the last 4, they're on a good win streak. Finished 4-2 in the region. Number 25 team in FA, so a quality opponent the Hornets are getting at the Nest here. Now, similar to Chambly, they score in the same kind of point range, around 22 points. That's not really going to favor them heading into this game, since the Hornets basically average double that. However, they do got some ballers. They do got some players on their side. Specifically when Nusi Valenti, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the running back over there, senior. He breaks all his tackles very easily. He's a very physical running back. He's very hard to bring down. And he might, judging based off of how the Hornets have faced particular running backs similar to this, if you wanted to look at it specifically, more of a Bentley Hickman over at Milton. Hickman's practically a linebacker running the football for the Eagles. So that's kind of where the Hornets kind of struggled with a dominant ground game from the opposing team, when they can't really out-talent someone like Bentley Hickman or Nigel Newkirk at Gainesville, or the whole stable of running backs they have up in Buford. So that's the main guy you want to look out for on offense. Also, LaGration Little, he's had a really good solid season as a junior. Really broke out against the game against Weiner Barrow, who is in their region, but also a playoff team this year. Dude had 8 catches for 243 yards, 4 touchdowns. It's like, yeah, you can ball. He's got a lot of offers too. These notable offers. He's got one from App State. He's got one from Middle Tennessee State. So like, very, very, very talented guy for the Gladiators. Now, trying to pinpoint their quarterback play, they've kind of been Jekyll and Hyde with this kind of. They've been one plays. It's been very hard to pinpoint, and Max Preps isn't entirely helpful with this and doing game prep for these things. So you're either going to get Cameron Lawrence, who got the majority of the snaps last week against Effingham County. He doesn't really throw the ball that well. or they don't really throw the ball with him that much. Excuse me. 7 touchdowns to 3 picks on the year, 790 yards in 6 games played. I mean, that's not a lot, but he's middle. He's average. He completes about 50% of his passes, so you will get a mallard from here and there as well. He does have 4 rushing touchdowns on the ground and 283 yards as well, so he can run it. And he is a small forward on their varsity basketball team, which means he's an athletic guy. I mean, really any dual sport athlete you are going to face will give you fits once he starts getting around, running around the pocket. I mean, you look at Trey Smith, right? The dude does that on a nightly basis. Biggest comparison I can give to Trey Smith is he's 5A Lamar Jackson. Not Cameron Lawrence to Trey Smith, but Trey Smith to the superlative he would be. So now, other side, Hudson Welter. He's more of your sitting in the pocket and I'm gonna try and dissect you type of quarterback. Sophomore, so a little green, a little inexperienced. I don't think he doesn't really have any much playoff experience. He's a lot more accurate than Lawrence, completing about 70% of his passes, 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. Like I said, they're a run game team. They don't really rely on the pass that much, and when they do, it's kind of hit or miss. And I mean, he's been solid. I mean, Welter's been solid for a sophomore quarterback, and they're in a relatively difficult region up there. So, but they're a great road team. They're 5-1 away. Can't really say the same thing about for them being home, but this game's not being played in Athens, Georgia. This game's being played in Roswell. Granted, thanks to the Hornets' home field advantage they have of being a 1 seed. Now, again, heavy run game team. If you are compared to look at Roswell, it's going to be same factors lean in. You're going to rely on your run game. You're going to rely on Trey Smith making plays on third downs. It's like the defense continues to be clutch in ways that I can't even fathom every week. They show me a new way, like, oh, hey, we can do this too. Oh, you're going to take Milton, for example. I know we didn't do a post-game reaction here. Obviously, we had the recaps up on Inside the Nest on YouTube, which you can go check out. And I implore y'all to subscribe because there is your home for, as well as here on Spotify, your home for Hornets sports talk highlights and coverage as well. So they got some pretty good stuff. They were now doing some game MVPs after the game. So after Shamley, we had Nick Peel. After Milton, we had Ballant. For us, Marty, your kicker, and then after Gainesville, we had Trey Smith. So and if y'all have any suggestions for me for what could be a possible game MVP trophy sort of thing, we can do that too here. So again, brief side rant. Now, Hornets coming in this game averaging 44 a game. Again, like I said, with the defense, they show you ways to be clutch that you don't think is really. Like, it doesn't seem like, wait, whoa, there's that again. They just stopped Milton for the second 2-point conversion in a row to hold them in check and eventually win that game. Like, the defense is like clutchness in certain situations when they got to have it moments has become, I'd say, the identity of it. They get off the quarterback too. Don't get me wrong. They get average 3 sacks a game. The defense has really been picking up here. Linebackers kind of been in and out. The one constant there has been Brody Duffy and Presnell. Tyler Presnell is kind of a safety linebacker hybrid who's really growing into the game. Didn't have Jake Smith for Chambly, so he was in a boot. Didn't see him in school today, so I think we should have him for Clarke Central. If not, we'll have him for potentially next week's against the winner of Sequoia and I believe Newton. It's either Newton or Noonan. One of the ends, I guess. So again, we know this Hornets team very well. Uber talented, very well coached. If they're on their game and they execute at the highest level, I mean, granted, this could be said for pretty much anyone, but specifically the higher teams in 5A, your Gainesvilles, your Miltons, your Roswells, your Thomas County Centrals, your Langston Hughes, your Lee Counties, they can really be the best team in 5A on any given night. I specifically think for this team, what their goals in mind, which is now it's you're 1 down, you're 4 more away from your first state title in close to 2 decades, which granted, winning a state title is really hard. It is really hard, don't get me wrong, and any deep playoff run is amazing. But I really feel like this team can do it. I really, really, really do. A bare minimum, in my opinion, if Team 76 does not make the semifinals and in my prediction play Thomas County Central, then it feels like a letdown for this team because you've been in these key spots. You've won these big games against Gainesville and Milton. You won those games back to back. You beat Milton for the first time in almost a decade. So you're definitely more than battle tested here, and it'll only get harder as the playoffs here roll on. Roswell now number 6 in the state of Georgia. Keep climbing those rankings, baby. You got to keep winning. And number 2, I believe, in 5A according to Max Preps. I know rankings are ho-hum. They're kind of all over the place. They don't really mean much, but it's still really cool to see Roswell up there and still 43rd nationally. That's a stark contrast compared to the Clarke Central Gladiators here. On defense for the Gladiators, Barry Jones, senior defensive back. They got some good DBs over there, but he leads their team in tackles per game, which usually if your corners or any of your defensive backs are leading your team in tackles, that's not a good sign. And what I mean by that is, hey, they're running past you. Now your defensive backfield's going to have to go hawk them down. And we saw that against Chamblee, where Brock Ryan, Chamblee's leading tackler, which is a safety, had to literally hawk. He probably saved 3 different touchdowns. And that game probably should have been a lot more than it was. But I digress. So typically, again, you really want your linebackers to be that. And for Roswell, that is Brody Duffy. You should be close to fully healthy here. No Sean Vaiparana. Still, he tore his ACL back against Westlake. So, or Walton, either or. But again, you should be close to, if not at full health for this game and moving on throughout the rest of these playoffs. Score prediction. I got Roswell 52-17 or 20, either or. I can see both with how good their running game is. Valenti's a really solid running back. He averages almost 6 yards a pop and has 10 touchdowns in the year. Close. He's got over 800 yards rushing. So again, very good running back. He's got offers from basically every school in the state of Georgia that's not Georgia Tech or UGA. So again, any sort of offer anyone gets, that's awesome. Good for them. And congratulations, you've succeeded at life, an aspect of life that you get to go play at another level of football, which is awesome. Okay. That being said, I've got Roswell 52. I'm going to say 17. I'm going to say the defense really shows me something here again, which is going to be mind-boggling because this defense is really good. Okay. Moving on here. GHSA, and really just the GHSA. Here's the holy Roswell prep book, if you will, or the Inside the Nest prep book here. Got everything you could ever need. Now, new regions next year and new classifications. The GHSA is bringing back 7A, which I think that means they'll eliminate one of the lower classifications here. So Roswell will be bumped up to 6A, along with pretty much the majority of the 6A team. So basically everyone's just shifting up a class between, if we're going for 6A now, you're going to 7A. If you're 5A, you're going to 6A. So Roswell will be in 6A next year. Now, new faces being added to the region. Some going out. I know Seconder is going up to 7A and being in Buford's region now. Now, Region 7 to 6A will now include the reintroducement, I guess. I don't know if that's even a word here. Of Alpharetta, which Alpharetta was in Roswell region previously, prior to this current region we're in right now. Johns Creek will be back. Lanier's back. Milton's back. We do add Riverwood, which is a high school in Sandy Springs. So again, a lot closer. Now, you're wondering, where's Gainesville? Well, they have decided to appeal to the GHSA and be moved to Region 8, which is a lot closer to the teams around there. And originally we had Mountain View as well. If you didn't know, Mountain View is in freaking Loganville in Gwinnett County. So 2 Gwinnett County teams being in basically Fulton, playing Fulton. Like, it's ridiculous. Fulton and Cobb County. Like, that's the travel situation that the Hornets had to face this year was ridiculous. And to me, when I saw them, I'm like, oh my God, we're really doing this again and potentially having to play out in Loganville, or we wouldn't have to play out in Gainesville because we played Gainesville there this year. So they both appealed to be in Region 8, and they're going to be in Region 8 together. So we're currently awaiting the next 2 teams to be in there and fully just fill out the balance. Maybe we could see a Blessed Trinity. I doubt it. and we can rekindle that rivalry, which is kind of, I wish we still played BT every year. That's always fun. So now Gainesville did appeal for reasons for spring sports because they weren't doing so well in spring sports in Region 7 here. This feels like, if you're a fan and you see it seem like, we don't, it kind of feels like Gainesville doesn't want the smoke a little bit, but I know that's not the case. They're for like football wise, but they're full of studs. Like we all know this. Like they could genuinely be they are probably one of the best 4 teams in 5A, if not they already are. Maybe, and when they play like it, they could be the best team in 5A. So their roster's loads of studs, and I'm sure same for basketball for them, same for everything else. And we will be bringing back basketball here on Inside the Nest. We'll be bringing you the Hornets Hoops live pregame show streamed on YouTube starting December 4th against Gainesville at the Nest. So kind of a little perfect segue to kind of promote that there. So keep an eye out and look out for that. We'll be going live 45 minutes prior to every men's home varsity game. Again, this is not just a football channel or outlet or podcast. This is in everything Roswell sports, and I apologize for not showing enough love to all the other sports. And it's hard to get out to every other sports because one, their games are more so during the weekdays and they're hard to get out to, and you have schoolwork and everything. So we'll be definitely more focused throughout winter and spring sports. This is just kind of to get off the ground sort of thing here. Coming up with basketball, we got wrestling, man, we got tennis in the spring, we got soccer in the spring, we got lacrosse in the spring, 3-time state defending back-to-back state champion lacrosse as well. And actually, speaking of that, tonight, Friday night, there will be a ring ceremony for our state champion, or reigning state champions in girls varsity soccer and boys lacrosse, who've won 3 straight for boys lacrosse and 2 of the last 3 for girls soccer. And the one year they didn't win, they came in runner-up. So Coach Deason, heck of a job. I'm not quite so sure who the lacrosse coach is. Got to look into that. I know it's a fault on my part, but anyways, all right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning into this preview edition of this playoff preview edition. There we go. Excuse me there of Inside the Nest, and we will be coming to you throughout the rest of this playoff journey here for the Hornets, and especially current content and updates throughout the game against Clarke Central tonight. So check out Inside the Nest on YouTube for updates and all that sort of things as well. And we'll be doing a show here following the game here on Inside the Nest. For John Schneider and the rest of Inside the Nest, so long, everybody.